What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? I see you guys out there excited. I know I'm a little bit early. I just wanted to take a couple minutes, um, say hello, get started quicker than normal. I don't know why this is not working the right way. It's supposed to be working better than this. Um, is anybody here? If you're here, say I'm here. Celeste, what's up, Celeste? I see you. All right, guys, I'll be back in just a moment. Can you guys even actually hear me? If you can hear me, say yeah. Thank you, Madeline. You follow instructions quite well. I appreciate it very much. I don't know if you hear that wonderful sizzling sound in the background. That's actually Natalie. She's cooking. Um, I have it on pretty good authority that she will not be appearing on tonight's stream. I know that's disappointing and sad, um, but what can we do, you know? I see you now. There's all my yeahs. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. What do I even do? I do what? You just write the word yeah in the comment section. She wants to know how to say yeah. It says comments, and then you type in yeah.
I don't see that.
Oh, that's so funny. I love guys. I love Natalie. She's incredible. Oh man. So I don't actually. It looks like my original plan is not going to work. I mean, I had some really cool, interesting stuff planned for you guys. So tonight is just a test. My hope is that we can do this again next Friday, and I'll get it right. I messed up this time, and I don't really know how all this YouTube stuff works. So I'm still, I'm still trying to figure it out a little bit. We'll learn together. But here's what we're gonna do. First of all, welcome to my living room. I'm glad to have you guys with me tonight. In case you're wondering, anything that you see on the walls or anywhere, it all came from and belongs to Natalie. If it wasn't for her, nothing that you see would be here. I hope you guys are all doing really well. If you're watching this and you got here because a small group leader contacted you, reach out to them and say, hey, how are we meeting for small group tonight? Because I hope that when we're done with this, You guys can all go off to your small groups, connect that way, have a conversation, talk about some of what you heard tonight. And you guys, so if you're ready for that, make sure that you reach out to your small group leaders. Small group leaders, I know you're out there. I see you guys watching. Make sure that you reach out to students, invite them onto here, let them know, hey, this thing started. You're 2 minutes late. You want to make sure that you get on and you watch all this stuff. Yeah, I know you guys knew it was all. They like have no love and appreciation for me. Everybody's like, oh, we know Natalie decorated the apartment. You know what? How about I just hit the end stream button? How about that?
I still can't comment.
They can hear you. You can comment into the microphone.
Hi guys!
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So I'm just going to get right into it. Tonight will be really kind of chill, a little bit laid back. I'm going to share a quick word with you guys. It's about fear and Easter. Fear and Easter. So let me start off by first of all saying, Happy Easter, everyone. Now, I know that it's not Easter Sunday yet, but around here, at least in my house, when if you go to pretty much, if we could go to any store in the last month or two, you might have seen that there is candy everywhere. There's holiday displays everywhere. And Easter is something that a lot of us grew up celebrating. And Easter is a time of the year that there's a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of different ways that we can celebrate. You know, one thing that we do is you usually end up eating a crazy amount of candy. And every time I have a Reese's egg, I can't help but think, Happy Easter. Like, to me, Reese's eggs say Easter. That is the biggest ever. Another thing you see people do, and you might notice it on me right now, we tend to wear a few more pastel colors, like pink and green, maybe a little bit of blue. But for some reason at Easter, it makes us smile when we see those colors. Another thing people do is they color eggs. Now, I always thought this was weird. Like, what do you do with a colored egg? And, you know, maybe you send the kids around to hunt for them and you hope and pray to God that they find it before the egg rots. But it's a tradition, and I guess people like to participate in that tradition. And finally, parents. Parents force their kids to take pictures with a giant rabbit, which most likely traumatizes their children for the rest of their lives. Now, if you guys do it, I want to encourage you, take a moment and do a quick Google search of kids scared of Easter Bunny. Kids scared of Easter Bunny. And the images that you see will be burned into your brain forever. These poor children are so clearly traumatized by having to sit with a human being inside of a giant rabbit suit. It's extremely just an odd tradition that I don't quite understand. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about that idea of what it means to what fear means. We're going to talk a little bit about why Easter is such a big deal, particularly for people who follow Jesus. And if you're like me, growing up, maybe you even wondered sometimes, why is Easter such a big thing? But we're going to talk about what we celebrate at Easter, and why that can and why it should make us happy. But I want to go back. Let's talk about the Easter Bunny for just a second. Does the idea of a huge rabbit, does it seem like a strange tradition for this holiday? A little bit. I always wondered what Easter had anything to do with Jesus. Like, he didn't come from a rabbit. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What I should have said was, what does Easter have anything to do with a bunny? What does it have to do with a rabbit? What does Jesus have anything to do with a rabbit? And like I said, if you look online, you'll see all kinds of pictures of kids being scared of the Easter Bunny. You'll see in stores, they have giant displays with Easter eggs, which is also kind of strange because in what universe does an egg come from a rabbit? I have no clue. I've never seen a rabbit lay eggs before. I don't think I want to go to that planet. But there's something else that's interesting about fear. And maybe it's something that we're all experiencing right now. See, fear has a way of taking the happiness out of almost anything. There's nothing that removes happiness and joy faster than fear. And tonight, I want to talk about what it means to be tends to change. See, we felt some type of fear since we were a kid, whether it was a monster in our closet or under the bed. Maybe Maybe you broke or lost your favorite toy and you were scared of your parents. Maybe you were afraid of the dark and you had to carry a flashlight with you everywhere you go. Or maybe you're scared of getting hurt. I know people who are so afraid of getting hurt that they just refuse to do things that they really wanted to do. But they're so scared of getting hurt or injured or falling down or whatever you want to call it that they can't begin to enter into stuff, and they're watching everybody else have a good time. Somebody else put on here, Liju, my man, eating Peeps. Yes, eating Peeps is actually both weird, gross, and the third thing that it is strange and disgusting. So failing classes. Who has ever been afraid of failing a class? How about being rejected by friends? Or you do something embarrassing and it gets posted on social media. Instagram is both a source of entertainment, but also a lot of anxiety because we're scared of the ways that people are going to make fun of us. How about attempting to talk to a crush and getting rejected? That's pretty scary also. And sure, your fear looked different when you got older than it did when you were a little kid, but the feeling was still very real. And now a lot of you guys are in high school and beyond, and maybe you figured out that you don't just grow out of fear. You know, as you grow up, your fears actually change. And maybe you don't call it fear anymore. Maybe you call it stress or feeling anxious. Maybe you're worried, but no matter what you call it, you probably fear something. And all of us do, myself included. Maybe you fear not fitting in, keeping the right GPA, or getting into the college of your choice. Maybe you fear your health and the health of your relationships, or the health of the people you love, especially at a time like this when most of us are scared when it comes to our health. There's a virus that's running rampant in our country, maybe in our city, maybe even in some of your families. And there's the fear that we don't know how it's going to work out. We fear that life will never get back to normal. And I want to tell you today that God has something to say to you about that fear. See, whatever your fear is, I don't need you to tell me. You don't have to put it in the comment section. You know that it's very real to you. And the reality is that fear is on the rise. In fact, chances are good that whoever's watching this right now, all 24 of you, that fear is determining the direction of a lot of your lives. See, we make decisions to do or not do certain things based on our fears, or we're avoiding people or conversations that need to happen because they freak us out. We're numbing ourselves for hours on our phones because we don't want to acknowledge that we actually have feelings of stress or fear going on the inside. And see, whether you realize it or not, your fear is fueling so many of your thoughts and your actions. But here's what's really interesting about all of this. If you boil it down, there's really only one fear that connects all of our fears, and it's simply the fear of death. And you may be thinking, wow, that's kind of dark. I'm just worried about getting a bad grade in history. I'm not sure what does it have to do with dying, but see, I'm not just talking about physical death. It's about death in the sense of it being the end of something. So for example, think about a relationship and some of the fears you have right now. See, where a relationship sometimes can end and it will feel like a death of some sort. See, we have other fears that are connected to that too. See, we're afraid of being ourselves because if the people we know get to know the real us, they might not like what they see. Our friendships would end. Their interest in being our friend would be gone. See, we're not afraid of getting into the college of our dreams because our application got rejected. That means our dream is suddenly dead. We're afraid of getting found out when it comes to secretive stuff that's going on in our lives because that would mean other people's perfect image of us would have to die. And so whether it's physical death or the death of something we hope for, the fear of death comes down to losing something we think we'll never get back. And when you think of it that way, it's easy to connect almost all of our fears back to a fear of death because death seems so final. It's like fear's knockout punch and it gives it a victory. So what if your fears come true and a friendship ends? A goal isn't reached or a dream dies, and then we get to the end of our lives and realize that death defeats us once and for all. Man, that's devastating. There's no hope in that, and there's nothing to be happy about. But it's at that exact place that Easter comes in, right in the middle of our fear of death. Sorry, I need to breathe. I realize I'm talking super fast. And so guys, as we head into this Easter season, maybe you've heard the point that this holiday isn't about eggs or bunnies or chocolate. And for those of us who follow Jesus, this is the time of year when we celebrate how he came to earth, died on a cross, and then 3 days later, nobody expected it. He was like, yo, I'm back. See, that's what makes Easter such a big deal, because it changed everything. One person in particular that it changed was a guy named Paul. Paul was one of the most famous Christians in history, and before he became a follower of Jesus, he actually spent years of his life trying to scare believers into abandoning their faith. And he threatened them with death until he met Jesus, and it changed everything. The guy who used to threaten Christians' lives became the greatest missionary of all time. He was shipwrecked, imprisoned, he was threatened, beaten, and bitten by a snake. But he kept going because he was so passionate about people and about people understanding people understanding the significance of Jesus' death. He was in constant danger. He was eventually killed for his faith. And despite all of that, Paul seemed to live without a fear of death. And in Paul's letters, you can see why. He writes his letter to the church in an ancient city called Corinth, and he reminds the people that Jesus died and came back to life by his own power 3 days later. Then listen to what Paul writes. Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? That's 1 Corinthians 15, 54, and 55. I want you to think about that, like Paul is taunting the very idea of death by reminding this church that on Easter, death lost to Jesus. When Jesus died and rose again, he defeated death. He came out and said, the champ is here. And that means because of the resurrection, death can no longer defeat us. The power that death has over our relationships, reputation, our future hopes and dreams, and even our physical bodies is gone thanks to what Jesus did on Easter. We don't have to fear death of any kind because Jesus destroyed death once and for all. And after he hung on a cross and was placed in a tomb, it seemed like humanity's greatest fear had come true. Death was the ultimate thing to fear. To Jesus' closest followers, it seemed like his death was final. The dream that they had for what their lives would be was over. But when Jesus walked out of the tomb alive, it proved that even the power of death wasn't strong enough to overcome the power of Jesus. And this is why Paul was able to live the way he did. He wasn't afraid of death anymore. It's why he didn't seem to fear much of anything in his life after he encountered Jesus. He realized that the scariest things aren't the most powerful things. The things we fear don't have the same power that Jesus does. Paul trusted that the fears he faced were no match for the power of resurrected Jesus. In other words, Easter means that fear isn't final. Fear isn't final. I want you, wherever you are right now, I want you to say that fear isn't final. Fear doesn't have the last word. Now, I can't hear you guys, but if you want to pop in the comments and just write that, fear isn't final. And I'll shout you out if you do. You see, because if Jesus can defeat death, he can defeat the things that you're afraid of too. See, we built up death as the biggest thing, the most powerful thing, and Jesus overcame that, which means there's nothing he cannot overcome. And fear will try to convince you that it gets the final word, that at the end of the day, it will win. It'll try to convince you that you're not good enough, that you'll never find a purpose, or that your life isn't worth it. It'll try to make you listen and obey it, and that's what power is all about. But here's the truth. Fear is only powerful if it can convince you that it's final. It'll try to make you believe that nothing is stronger than what you're afraid of. But when Jesus defeated fear itself, he showed us that nothing we fear is bigger than him. Nothing we fear is stronger than him. He showed that no matter what we're afraid of, it doesn't get the final say. Now, you may be thinking, you can't just tell me that Jesus rose again, and that I don't have to be afraid of anything. I'm still anxious or depressed. I'm terrified of what's going on even around me right now. Look, I get it. I understand. Even if fear doesn't get the final word, it doesn't mean there aren't still things to be afraid of. Real things, big things. And it's not a guarantee that something you're afraid of won't happen. But it does mean you're more equipped to handle those things than you realize. Paul says it this way. The Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. And that's Romans 8:11. Stop and think about this for a second. See, Paul is saying that the same power that defeated death 2,000 years ago when Jesus rose from the dead is actually inside of people who believe in Jesus today. Maybe that's why Paul seemed to live free from so many of the fears we typically face. And if I could embrace the significance of Easter, like if we could embrace the significance of Easter in our lives, we can overcome those fears. See, when you have faith in Jesus, the power that brought him back to life is inside of you as well. It means that fear doesn't get to tell you what to do. Maybe you're walking around and feeling like, man, things are really out of control. Like maybe you're being controlled by all sorts of these different fears. Just know that if Jesus defeated death, the spirit of Jesus who defeated death can live in you. And imagine what his spirit can do in the face of the things that you are afraid of. So let me ask you this. Where has fear been holding you back? Is it in your relationships? Do you find yourself scared to dream big about your future? Is it holding you back when you think about going to college or dealing with something concerning your mental health that you're afraid to acknowledge? Are you afraid of doing something you know that you should do no matter what it does to your reputation? Maybe you're afraid of actually exploring faith in Jesus because up to this point, you're afraid of how it might change your life. Wherever fear is holding you back, guys, with Jesus' help, you can take a step towards facing it today. So what steps should you take to prove that fear doesn't have any power over you? Maybe it means forgiving somebody. Maybe it means apologizing to someone or talking to your school counselor. Maybe you need to see a doctor and start a conversation. Maybe you have to tell your parents something that you've never told them, and Lord knows you have so much more time with them than you've ever had before. Maybe you have to ask a small group leader for help with something you've been afraid to admit, or maybe you need to pick a new friend group that's just better for you. It could just be time to start asking some really honest questions about Christianity. See, this Easter, no matter what your step is, no matter what you're facing, you can face your fear because of Jesus. At Easter, we celebrate what he did for us. And fear doesn't get to determine the direction of our lives any longer. I don't know what your step is, but I do know this. If you believe that Jesus defeated death and you follow him, then you have his power on the inside. Because of that, you can handle whatever fear throws at you. No matter how scary it seems, remember, you're not facing fear by yourself. You're relying on the power of the one who defeated your greatest fear once and for all. He took away its power, he took away its victory, and he took away its sting. And that means you don't have to worry about anything being more powerful than Jesus. That's the hope that the Christian faith is built on. This is what caused Paul to live free from fear. And this is what makes Easter such a happy holiday. While the rest of the world lives controlled by fear and driven by stress, you and I don't have to. We are free. And that's one reason we can say Happy Easter. Now, guys, I hope that in this season of uncertainty and in this season of so much difficulty in so many of our lives, that we can hold on to that truth, that Jesus is more powerful than anything that we face. I want you guys to know that I am here for you. I'm praying for you. If anybody needs anything, you can find a way, reach out to me. You can email me. You can get my number from somebody, call me, text me. I'm here for you guys. I hope that you're well. Tonight I'm going to end a little bit early. I do want you to come back next Friday. I will have all my technical issues completely 100% worked out, and so we'll have a song. Mia actually sent me a really great song, so I'll have her do another one for next Friday. We'll play a game together. It's going to be a really great time. You're not going to want to miss it. So please come back next week on Friday at 7:30 p.m. and we'll have a great time together. Also, tomorrow at New Life is our, it's not at New Life, it's at home, but it's coming from New Life, is our Good Friday service. It's streaming at 4 p.m. and again at 7 p.m. You definitely want to check that out. And don't forget, Easter Sunday is coming, guys. That means we've got services all day on Easter Sunday. We're asking people to dress up for Easter. So put on your Easter best, post on Instagram, and tag us at NLF Youth NYC so that we can see what you guys are up to. We can see what you're posting. We can see your fancy Easter outfits while you're sitting at home, not really doing a whole lot. I hope that you guys stay well, stay healthy. Please don't forget to wash your hands as often as you possibly can. I'm also working on some other things, like if there's any content that you like, I just also have a note. This just in, it says, "Hi guys, I miss you so much, Natalie." So that's her handwriting. That was her arm that just kind of jumped in and waved at you all. So thank you for that and for this, even though it's backwards. I hope you guys can see what if I do this? No,
Well, I can't write backwards.
Nothing works. She can't write backwards, guys. I don't know what's up with that.
I have time on my
So I hope you guys can find your way to Zoom or FaceTime with your small group leaders right now. Man, I really, really do miss you guys. I hope that I just hope you stay well. Can we see Nat's face? Oh, it's not backwards. So there you go. I guess to me it looks backwards. Oh my goodness. No, don't do that. Give it to me because it's gonna go out of focus. You want to see her face, guys? Here is Natalie's face. She is right there. That is her. Okay. I wish I had a bigger picture to show you, but I do not. She's actually right over here as well. That's her, and she's there, and she's there, and she's there, and she's there, and she's there. So I can see her on your behalf. How about that? And then I'm obviously that was her arm again. Just so you know, she's kind of in that shot. Yes, Jared. What's up, Jared? I see you, Jared. And I also see you guys. Thank you for chiming in. Fear isn't final, and all of your amens. All right, guys. So have a great rest of your Thursday night. Don't forget Good Friday. Don't forget Easter Sunday. Don't forget that we're going to be trying to post music every Monday. Also, if you guys know of really fun TikTok videos, like things that are really funny, next week I want to try a new segment called Someone Tried It. And basically what I'm going to do is I'll show you guys a TikTok video, and then I'll show you guys someone else's attempt at that TikTok video. It will almost never be me trying it because I refuse to make that much of a fool of myself. This was already hard enough. But if you guys know of really fun, funny TikToks that you want to see someone that you know try, send them to me. Send them to me. You can actually email me, students@newlife.nyc. That's students with an S, STUDENTS, @newlife.nyc. I would love to see you guys send me videos that you're finding really funny that you're interested in. I'm also working on a couple of other things here and there. All right, guys. Love you all. God bless you. Have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Like I said, next week we will have way more. There'll be a game that we're going to play, a song. We'll have some other fun segments. I'll give you another quick talk, and then you guys will break for small group. Love you all. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Happy Easter.